the Almanac, a rap show. I got opinions and they all factual. No news, just information that you won't be able to use unless you're at a dinner party trying to impress who's in attendance with endless tidbits of nonsense. We're gonna have a good time, I promise. YouTube rabbit holes, Reddit deep dives, pulling out old interviews from the archives. Styles, fads, trends, all of that. It's the Almanac of Rap.
Welcome back for round two, the second interview. Make some noise for Danny Hastings. Yeah. And also go check out his exhibition. For our second guest, this guy has been in the writer's room for some of your favorite songs. He's worked with everyone from Megan Thee Stallion to Beyonce to Shakira to Nicki Minaj to Cardi B. And in addition to being one of the game's most sought after songwriters, he's betting on himself this next go round and hoping to maybe add a sixth, seventh, I've lost count, Grammy to his collection. Please welcome to the show, Derrick Milano. I like the fit, you know what I'm saying?
Appreciate it. Had to throw on the FUBU.
Yeah.
Everybody talking about LL Cool J and the impact, so, you know.
The G, the O, the H today.
You know, how you doing?
I'm good, man.
I'm excited about this.
Yeah, we ain't got a lot of time. We got a lot of questions, so let's just jump into it. You know what I'm saying? All right, so we were talking a little bit about off mic about this, and songwriting itself is a fascinating craft, especially when it comes to hip hop. There's this stigma attached to it. And before we get to that side of the stigma side of things, I want to ask you about just how you broke into songwriting as a hip hop songwriter or songwriter in general.
For sure. So you know when and I'm gonna say this first. When it comes to songwriting and artistry, I never really look at a songwriter for just necessarily being a songwriter. I look at them being an artist first.
Yeah.
As an artist, I feel like, and as a collaborator, I feel like you have to be in love with the person that you're collaborating with art and what they bring to the table. And for me, growing up, I was always into making my own music. I was really good at making hooks. And that was something that a lot of artists, I didn't know was as important until I got older. You know what I'm saying? I'm hearing these songs on the radio growing up, and I'm like, man, this record is put together perfect. And I'm just thinking the artists just went in there and did their things. And 9 times out of 10, sometimes they do, but then I started understanding the production side and the songwriting side of curating like full records. Right. And for me, I was just putting out my own music and just dropping nonstop to the point where it got to the attention of like some big executives.
Yeah, and like around what time, what year was this?
Let's see, I would say I've been doing music since I was 14, but when it got into the music industry, I would say 2018. Okay. Was I got my break, was 2018 as a songwriter for sure.
Oh shit, okay, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And what is the difference between songwriting and ghostwriting? Let's just put it plain right here. You know what I'm saying? What's the difference between
I feel like the difference is when you're a ghostwriter, it's like you sign off of letting people know that you didn't do a record. Yeah. As a songwriter, you're letting, it's known, you're in the credits. Right. Like people can see. I just feel like it's the way that you word it. It's the way that you speak on how you collaborate with your artists that you're working with on your credibility when it goes down the line, when people like look at you and dig deep into your catalog.
You said an important word, collaboration. I mean, because at the end of the day, it's all collaboration. And songwriting itself is one of the ultimate forms of collaboration. Exactly. Because there's a lot of trust involved. So as a songwriter for hip-hop artists, how do you gain the artist's trust? Like, what's the process before you even sit down to record or like pitch song? Like, how do you get somebody's trust?
I kind of come in as myself. I don't come in transactional. Yeah. When I enter a space, you know what I'm saying? Because there's certain people that come in and just say like, hey, we're doing your single today. I just feel like that's kind of corny. I feel like it's gonna come to you when the time is right. So for me, I kind of come into the session as Derrick Milano, not only the brand and the person, but I come in as Derrick Milano, the artist. Yeah. So they can understand that, you know, this is a collaborative thing. Like, shoot, you might like what I do so much, you might keep me on the song. Right. Like, I remember working with Nicki. My first time ever working with her, she told me, she was like, all right, so go in the booth. And I'm like nervous because I'm like, this is Nicki Minaj. You know what I'm saying? She works with the greatest rappers in the world. Like, she's just one of those artists that's elite at what she does. And I remember I didn't have my engineer with me. I wasn't sure if, how it was gonna sound. So I was like, all right, let me go in here. And it was like a kind of like an Afrobeat vibe, because I could sing. And I wanted to make sure that my vocals sounded right. And I was nervous because I'm like, man, this is the make or break. She's either gonna keep me in here or she's gonna kick me out. You know what I'm saying? So
this is the moment.
You know what I mean? So I went in the booth and I just did Derrick. And when I came out, the first question that she asked was, "Are you signed?"
Wow.
And I was just like, nah, I'm just working, hustling right now, just doing my thing. And she was like, "I really love your voice. I actually would keep you on this record."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that kind of just went miles for me, because I didn't come in like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do this. I just kind of came in doing my thing.
Yeah.
And then that leads into deeper conversations on like artistry. When you start talking about, so what's your process like?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you come up with things when you have writer's block? Because I know that was a thing that was going on at that time. And then she spoke on, too. It was like she was having a hard time, just trying to understand, like, what's going on. Because music changes. Music, we see it right now.
Music changes, and, like, the way you relate to it changes. Like, you got to figure out how to, like, articulate your exact mood, your moment, and your mind state with the new soundscape.
100%.
Sometimes it's just like you don't know how to attack it.
Exactly.
But, so I know that there are several ways to collaborate. You touched on it a little bit talking about Nicki Minaj, working with her. But what goes into the songwriting process? Like when you're working with, say, Nicki Minaj or like Cardi B or like Kevin Gates, like how do you, I guess, figure out how to attack each session? Like I know it all kind of comes from the same place, but it's probably different because each artist is a different person.
Yeah. I just go off a conversation, personal conversation. I do that, and then I go off of like what I like. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And like especially like I said with hooks, I'll go in and do a hook that I just know I'm like, man, I keep this for myself. And then the artist would be like, I kind of like this hook. I kind of want to take this and kind of make it mine and play with the words. Maybe take out a few things and make it my own. So for me, I would say it's really conversational.
Okay.
It's really conversational, to be honest. Like, I think I kind of approach sessions kind of like Pharrell.
Yeah.
When you don't know what he's going to do in the room. You don't know if he's going to produce a record for you. You don't know if he's going to sequence your album. You don't know if he's going to get up there and rap a verse. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah, he's in service of the record and creativity.
Exactly.
He's there to make sure that the record is the best record it can be.
Exactly.
But even within that, like you just said, like, like sometimes you might be like, I might want to keep this for myself. Like, how hard is it to like hold back stuff for yourself? Because you're an artist too.
Yeah. I think this past year has probably been the hardest because I kind of like took a break. And I don't want to say a break, but like I kind of stepped back a little bit when it came to making bigger records.
Oh, okay.
I wanted to make more personal, vulnerable records.
Yeah.
So they just sit a little bit more with the consumer and the audience, because I just feel like that's missing sometimes in music. Like I feel like everything could be fun, but there's certain things that you go through in life that you kind of want to speak on. And for me, I really wanted to kind of like hone in on that. And there's been artists that's like, yo, I want 6 songs from your project. And I would be like, artist Derrick could be like,
6 is a lot.
Nah, you know what I'm saying? But Derrick that's here and and moving in like good spirit, good faith, and understanding like the power of the tongue and understanding what's going on. I'm like, man, it could probably do something more for the person that like they probably heard it and went through something, and it probably just touched them a little bit more. I can go back in and challenge myself to make something similar. But I mean, I've been having a hard time. Only thing about that now is that when they hear my version, they try to copy my version, and it doesn't sound the same way. So they don't, when they hear their voice on it, sometimes it's like, I don't know if I like it as much.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
but that's ultimately a good thing in my opinion, because that means that the record is yours, and it means that like the record belongs to you in a different sort of way.
For sure.
One other person that I want to talk about that you've written songs with is Nas.
Oh yeah.
Because when people think of Nas, nobody thinks of songwriters, but he
Yeah.
has hooks, he has melodies, he has all types of shit happening on the song.
Yeah.
The song Brunch on a Sunday. Like, how much of your DNA is on that song? Like, what was that session like? What was it like working with?
Man, that session was amazing. Nas just being the legend who he is. Hit Boy called me and he was like, "Yo, D," because we also did Spicy,
Yep.
the first King Disease.
Oh, you
And,
did Spicy? Oh, yeah, okay,
mhm.
you did do Spicy. Okay.
Yep. And he was like, "Man, I need something that's gonna be like still in the era of like what you guys, because I'm 30. At that time, I think I was probably like maybe 26, maybe 27. And he was like, "Man, I need something that's gonna resonate, but not only with your generation, but that's gonna resonate with mine too." So
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, "Yo, I just got back out here. This was in LA. I said I was just in DC. That's like my favorite city. You know what I'm
DC?
saying? DC is my favorite city.
Oh, wow.
I love it.
DC is the
I
shit.
love it. The culture, the music, the blackness, like everything about DC. And one thing that stood out to me the most was the brunches. And I was like, yo,
Heavy brunch scene in DC, man.
I'm telling him, like, yo, I said, have you been to a brunch in DC? And he was like, I heard about it. I think I've been to a few, but it's been a while. And I was like, man, we should make a brunch song. I said, because,
Yeah.
at this time, it's like everybody's talking about brunch on Sundays. And he was like, well, let's come up with some stuff. So we was going in, and Nas, he's a lyricist, but he spars. Like, he'll spar with you. You know what I'm saying? Like he spars with art. Yeah, like, because he's looking at me as an artist. I don't think he's looking at me as a songwriter. I think he's looking at me as an artist. And I know when you're in the studio with another artist, it's kind of like your adrenaline rushes because it's like a basketball game. It's like, let's see who's going to have the harder line. So me and him just going back and forth, just saying cool shit. And he's like, yo. And I'm like, next line. And I'm like, he got me on this one. And we were telling a story on what it's like to be at brunch. We were painting a narrative and we were painting a story so people can feel like they've been through it. And then at that time, I put him with Blast. I connected him with Blast. He didn't know who Blast was at that time.
Wow,
That's
so
my brother.
Yeah, you're like a connector.
I love that. Yeah, that's my thing.
You're like between the producer, the feature, the engineer, like the artist. You're like a hub for creativity. Okay, my bad.
Nah, you good.
Blowing my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So I told him, I was like, man, right now, man, that's all the girls is playing right now. They just playing Chosen by Blast. They playing all these songs, and I'm like, when you go on Instagram and you scroll and you look through your reels and you go through Instagram, they just listening to Blast songs. I said, so let's throw out a Blast line in there, because there was a line in there. He said, I'm in Blast space.
Yeah.
Bumping Anita Baker. And so I'm like, okay, let's play with that, but then let's actually like try to get him on the song too.
And Nas was game. Yeah.
He was game, and he was like, all right. So we put that together. Hit Boy was excited because, being the producer that he is, he's very involved. And I think that's why people enjoy working with him, because he's not a yes man. Like, he's really one of those people that be like, I don't know, he'll push you to be the best you. So working on that record, man, was fun because we both were speaking of our own experiences. And it just came out dope. And like I try to tell people, it's like when you do songs like that, that's more of a song for the people.
Right.
Like, we know Nas is one of the top lyricists ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would never want to be like, oh yeah, I did this with Nas and it was on Illmatic, or you know what I'm saying? The record that we did is amazing, but it's for the people. And I think people have to understand that when it comes to these artists, when they speak on songwriting and stuff, because it's like sometimes the record isn't necessarily for that necessary artist at that moment. They might be trying to put a message out to speak positivity and try to get things going and put people in a different headspace. Because remember, everybody was in the house at that time.
Yeah, that was like pandemic.
Mm-hmm. So it was like, yo, let's, we even spoke on the women that were dancing on the table. I think it was in Texas, I think, when they got kicked out the restaurant.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, yeah.
That was a line that we said in the song.
Oh, shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they just let them girls just want to have fun. Like, they not, you know what I'm saying? Like, we were speaking on current events, and we were just putting it in the music, and it worked.
So to back up a little bit, you're originally from Delaware?
Yeah, I was born in Philly, raised in Delaware.
Born in Philly, raised in Delaware, and you moved to Orlando.
Yep.
like two cities that, well, outside of Philly, but
Yeah.
Delaware and Orlando are cities that aren't specifically known for music scenes.
Yeah.
And I heard Orlando has a crazy hip hop scene. I didn't know.
Yeah,
about
it is crazy.
But how does it feel to be a kid that like grew up looking at this thing from the outside in cities that weren't really like music hubs
Yeah.
to be trading bars with Nas?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Motivating.
Yeah.
Because I think the whole thing, especially being from Delaware, is like you never want to, like you don't want to, not even say go back, because I always go back and show love. Is in my
Right.
family, they still there. But you don't want to feel like you went back because you failed.
Yes. I'm from Ohio and I live in New York.
You know what I mean?
The same shit. Yep.
Because
Same
people will
vibe.
say, like, even when I do go home and I'll go to the mall and I'll shop, do my thing, step out somewhere, somebody who doesn't know what's going on in my career but knew me growing up would say something like, oh, so you back home now? And this is like, yeah, but it's not because
Yeah.
I have to. You know what I'm saying? I'm just here because it's my family and I'm showing love. But I always keep that in my head because I knew how hard it was to make it out because it's so small. And these areas are so content sometimes with just being the biggest in their area that sometimes they forget the whole world that's in front of them and how big you can take it. And I was blessed to be able to, move around and just understand like how to move in different areas and different societies. I understand what's going on musically, understand BPM, like understand like the difference from rhythmic record and what they would say a boom bap record, but I love boom bap, so I'm like really invested into like kind of like merging it together.
Yeah, and when you blend that, you get something unique.
Exactly.
And so in doing my research on you, I found out that you've been doing a series of covers on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Like you do covers of records. I think about covers a lot because they don't exist in the same way. Like in the Motown era, covers reign supreme, and it kind of helped the songwriters. Songs have a different life and longevity. As a songwriter, do you wish that people covered songs more?
I think so. I mean, when you look at the Cowboy Carter album that came out, Jolene, like
Jolene,
it's like you could do it. Like people can do it. I think people forget like just because these songs are out doesn't mean that you can't go back in and put your own flavor and put your own twist on it. Whitney Houston did it. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes
and she made it her own in a way that like that song is, even Dolly was like, this is yours now.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why not? Like an amazing record is always going to be an amazing record. And then if you're going to attack it, at least put in the work and make sure that you're like putting your all into it. To if you're going to cover a record, don't cover it in half-ass.
Because like the covers you do on Instagram, like one, you sing amazing.
Thank you
so
so
like
much.
you
I
own the
appreciate
record in a
that.
way that like I saw some people comment like, damn, I didn't know this was a Mario song. It sounds like you. Is this Mario on the song? So like your cover game is crazy.
Thank
but
you.
covers of rap songs don't really happen that often. Like Snoop Dogg did Lottie Dottie and The Vapors. And it doesn't really happen that often. Sometimes rappers borrow a couple bars for inspiration to kind of like set the verse up.
Yeah.
But my question is, do you think that covers of hip hop songs, like just rap based covers, do you think that's cool?
I think that'd be fly.
I think so.
I think it'd be dope. I think the thing, and I'm glad that we having this conversation because I think there is like a disconnect.
Yeah.
When it seems, because I listen to both. Like I said, I'm 30, so I'm in the rooms with people that's 40 plus, 50 plus, but I'm also in rooms with artists that are 18 and under, and
young gunners,
22 and under. So I'm hearing what's going on, and I'm trying to figure out what the problem is. And it just seems like when it comes to the I think it's the producers that some of these generations had before us really need to come back.
Yeah.
And not only they need to come back, but they have to like help us curate. Like don't just send something and be like do something to it. Like actually help us put records together because that's the lack. So when it comes to covers, if more artists understood like some of these hits, like if an artist covered 21 Questions by 50 Cent, I'm just going to use that for example because I heard that yesterday and I was like, damn, this song stopped the world.
It did.
If an artist did that, I think it would be like crazy. I remember working with Pop Smoke. I had brought that up to him. I was like, yo, we should just like remake.
That would have been nuts.
Yeah, I think we started working on Wanksta. I think we started working on that, and we just never got to finish it. But I told him, I was like, bro, I think that'd be fly because you have the voice, you got the aesthetic, you from New York, like you can, and I feel like it'd be respected coming from you. You know what I'm saying? Like certain artists could do it.
So while we're on the subject of covers, I got a couple of your songs, and I was like, let's see who we would rather hear do a cover of a song. So I'm gonna give you 2 songs, one of each,
right.
2 of your songs, and potential people that can cover them.
Okay,
and
cool.
Tell me which one you would rather hear. All right. So, you know Al Jarreau?
Al Jarreau.
He's like a jazz singer.
Okay, yes.
Al Jarreau covering Crazy by Bazzi, or Celine Dion covering Punteria by Shakira?
That's funny.
Like, who would you rather hear? Which one would you rather hear today?
Al Jarreau.
Al would kill that shit, man. Al is crazy, man. His voice is crazy.
Nah, the Celine Dion comparison.
Yeah, Celine Dion too. But you know, she's on like her voice.
Yeah, that's why I was there.
Tragic, man.
Yeah.
Tragic. One of the best voices. All right. The next one is Willie Nelson covering Get Back by Pop Smoke, or Madonna covering Press by Cardi B.
Madonna Press.
I can see
that song. That song, man. That song is like to this day. I think that song is a very monumental stamp. Just in like rap, especially in like women rap. I'm like saying female, but like women rap.
It was a very like brave, vulnerable song too. It was one of those songs where when you heard it, like Cardi is very intentional with her releases. Yep. She doesn't really just flood the market until it's time to come out. But when that song came out, like everybody had to notice it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody had to like take a second to, you know.
And it's real. It's like, yo, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, let me live. You know what I'm saying? It's, you know, them Let Me Live songs. You know what they do, but that's what that was. It's like, yo, like y'all keep talking about me, like.
Yeah, let it live.
You know?
All right, the final one, the last one. Lionel Richie covering Me Too by Kevin Gates. Or maybe Smokey Robinson for this matter. Or Lil Nas X and Saucy Santana covering Savage by Meg and Beyonce.
That's a good one. Let me think. I'll probably say Savage.
Yeah.
I'll probably say Savage.
I
think they'd snap.
And that was
Saucy, that's my dog. I think because he's talented. And Lil Nas X is talented too, so I think they would body that.
Yeah, Saucy is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like bar for bar, both of them going back and forth would be some fire shit.
Yeah, for sure.
So I won't get AI and make these things. I'll just hopefully you'll get in touch with the people and make it happen.
Yeah.
So I can like hear my weird fantastical songs come to life. All right, but I want to talk about your artistic output.
Okay.
We just heard a song,
Beauty Pageant.
Beauty Pageant.
Yep.
Like talk to me about that song. What's this? Is it?
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's exclusive. You played an exclusive for us.
Yeah, y'all heard it first. I'm excited. Cool and Dre produced it.
Shouts to Cool and Dre.
Those my brothers right there.
Epic, man.
Those are a group of producers that not only are amazing at what they do, but they believe in everybody who loves music.
Yeah.
There's
Philly too.
Yep.
I think one of them is from Philly.
I think one of them's from Philly. I gotta ask.
Okay.
I gotta ask. But so it's crazy. I was going through a point where I didn't know where I wanted to go in my music. It was hard for me because, like I said, recently I was giving up my songs to other artists, and you know I'm in a very public relationship, so my music is a little bit more personal. It's a little bit more vulnerable for me, but I do understand records, and I do understand what a record could do, and putting records together and having more, and then also building a catalog. I understand all parts. So with that specific record, we did it 3 years ago. I had just did a hook, and at that time, I wasn't messing with hooks. Like I think that was around the same time, Brunch on Sundays. Like I think it was like around that time. And like I said at first, like that was always my specialty. But because I've been more vulnerable, I kind of lean a little bit more off the hooks and focus more on the verses.
Right. Where you could be more vulnerable. You could even like stretch out the vulnerability.
Exactly.
Space out, yeah.
Exactly. So I heard the record again. I was in the car just listening to a lot of old stuff, and I was like, why does this sound? So I played it, and I said, yo, I love this song. I said, why didn't I never finish this? So I called my engineer. I was praying and hoping that he had the session. I said, yo, Brad, can you please send me the session to, I think we called it Where the Ladies At that time. And he was like, yeah, I got you. So he sent it to me. I pulled it up, and I was like, yo, this still sounds fire, but I'm going to re-record it with my new up-to-date voice.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm gonna switch up my writing process, and I'm actually gonna like write, because sometimes I'll just freestyle. I'll just go in and just punch in. But I said, you know what? Let me actually be intentional about what I'm saying and write.
Did you use any of the old materials like source, or you just like scrapped it all and wrote? Like in terms of like cadence and flow and vibe?
Nah, this was just fresh.
Okay.
Like the verses was fresh. And how I did it was I went on Instagram Live.
Oh,
and
shit.
I sat my
Even
live
more
up.
vulnerable.
I sat my live up and I said, yo, I really love this song, y'all. Like, I'm about to just show y'all the process. Like, I'm gonna put this song together. So I'm going through, walking around the studio, like just typing, like thinking what I'm saying, and then like I'm like painting a story in it. And it's basically, because when you hear it, of course, I don't like using the word. I don't like using the B word. I don't.
Yeah.
But I do understand it's ways to say it where it could be positive sometimes, and then this way it's negative sometimes. And I was kind of hesitant because I was like, man, I don't know if I really want to say it. But then when I started thinking about it, I was like, nah, this song could really be a spark of like empowerment, where it's kind of like a whole bunch of women, non-competitive, all feeling great about themselves in their moment, not really too focused on us, and just me explaining what's going on in the scenario and just like speaking to them. So like in the first verse, you're in the spot with all your girls, it ain't a man in sight, 20 Dime bottles in your section, them ain't camera lights. You took the weekend off, you used to work in overtime. The bottle girl done spelled her name wrong, she damn near broke the sign. Cause I'm like, what would you do if it was your birthday, you went somewhere and your husband set it up for you and had it all set up, and he was like, I'm gonna be there in about 5 minutes, just give me some time. But they're gonna come out, and then they come out to celebrate, and they spell your name wrong. And everybody got their phones out. It's like, how would you feel?
But that ain't me. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, let me like have fun with it, but still kind of keep it trendy and still keep it there, because I love coming up with lines and captions. But I'm really excited because I'm gonna turn this into, we already shot the first video. And then we have 2 versions that's gonna have just me on the hook, 2 male artists, and then I have a version that's just gonna be me on the hook and 2 women artists.
You have like a marketing mind. You're not only a songwriter, producer, artist,
I'm
you're
taking
a marketer.
it there.
That's crazy.
I'm taking it there. And
my bad, go ahead.
Yeah, and then real quick, I gave it to Celeste. I'll show you after, but yeah.
But I was
I'm
gonna
excited,
say,
man.
So you talk about within your own artistry, there's a level of vulnerability that you have to tap into. But you've also signed on to do Love and Hip Hop, which is even another level of vulnerability, because
For sure.
we were talking before, you can control your artistic output. You can write the lines, script it, whatever. When it comes to reality TV, what you put out there is like you can't really control how people perceive it.
Yeah.
So just I guess the real question I want to know is like, tell me about like what that level of vulnerability feels like for you. Do you think it'll influence your art in a different way?
I think it's more of just influencing, like influence just in society.
Yeah.
I know like my intent when I got on the show, like I was very adamant about why I wanted to get on the show. It wasn't, oh, I want to get on here to be famous. I want to get on here to be this. No, I wanted to get on there to not only showcase Black love, but I also wanted to showcase what it's like to be a creative and working with artists. So I worked with pretty much all the artists on the show. I gave them records.
You did, yeah. And I was going to ask you about, did any of them give you, like, did Cardi give you any advice, or any of the other artists that have been on the show give you advice about joining the cast?
Not too much. I think their biggest thing was just like, know why you want to go on there. No, Trina did.
Okay.
Trina definitely said that.
Shouts to Trina.
I did call Trina.
Heavy.
I called Trina and I asked her what she thought. And she was like, bro, because you're extremely talented and you stay busy and you stay working, keep working. The moment you don't work, and the moment there's like a time where you're not working, then that's when the extra stuff could happen. So make sure that you control your narrative and you really make sure that you stay in that studio, you stay on top of everything that you got business-wise, so you showcasing like a whole different side.
Yeah, that's great advice. And that's almost like, that's a perfect way to end this thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to keep working, and I know you're going to keep working. I'm going to see the work, and I'm going to listen to it and appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Derrick Milano, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank y'all. Appreciate y'all for having me.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, It's the Almanac, a rap show. I got opinions and they all factual. No news, just information that you won't be able to use unless you're at a dinner party trying to impress who's in attendance with endless tidbits of nonsense. We're gonna have a good time, I promise. YouTube rabbit holes, Reddit deep dives, pulling out old interviews from the archives. Styles, fads, trends, all of that. It's the Almanac of rap.